जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिंत। आज हमारे साथ हैं, आई हैव विद मी लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल राज शुक्ला, हु इज गोना टॉक अबाउट एक जरा जिस सब्जेक्ट जिसने बेसिकली पॉलिटिकल आग लगा रखी है मोर देन एनीथिंग एल्स, जिसका नाम है अग्निवीर। देयर आर मल्टीपल फैसेट्स जिसके बारे में लोगों ने बात करी है, लेकिन जो एक चीज के बारे में लोग बात नहीं करते हैं कि भाई दिस इज फॉर द फोर्सेस, व्हाट टू द फोर्सेस से, फौज क्या बोलती है। तो आइए सुनते हैं। लेट्स कीप द पॉलिटिक्स असाइड बट लेट्स लिसन टू द फोर्सेस एज टू व्हाट दे एक्चुअली फील अबाउट अग्निवीर। सर नमस्कार, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर टेकिंग द टाइम आउट। आई नो आपने काफी रिसर्च करी है इसके ऊपर एंड यू स्पोकन अबाउट इट। आपने लोगों से बातें भी करी हैं, एज आई हैव हर्ड योर अदर पॉडकास्ट एज वेल, but I wanted to take a little different angle and I wanted to bring about what the forces are saying. बाकी सब तो सुन लिया हमने, हमको बताइए सर what the forces are saying about this particular program and tell us what you feel.
So thank you, Adi. Thank you for getting me on your show. It's a great player. So, let's try and analyze this Agniveer thing dispassionately.
जी,
So, and I'll just give you some of my views and then we can discuss them. See, it is a very bold experiment in HR, first and foremost. In conception, it is very forward looking, which means you may not see the immediate benefits, but if it succeeds, it will be game changing for the nation. And therefore, in execution, it is challenging because the
जी,
change is so big, because you are coming out of the ways of the past. So it is also, a huge, shall we say, challenge as far as change management is concerned. Now, when we say execution, मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि जो अभी ये डिबेट से इंटरनल रिव्यूज भी चल रहे हैं आर्म फोर्सेस में, द रक्षा मंत्री इज डूइंग अ रिव्यू, उसमें से जो अच्छी बातें निकलेंगी, they must be implemented, they must be tweaked. For example, if 75-25 is not working, make it 50-50. If the length of training needs to be increased for certain technical cadres, it's not a भाई आर्मी में पता नहीं कितने तीनों सर्विसेज में कितने ट्रेड्स होंगे, from an aircraftman to an infantry soldier to an artilleryman to somebody in the AME. So they cannot be a one size fits all.
जी,
Now that nuancing and tweaking must take place. So there is absolutely no quarrel of the nuancing and tweaking. तीसरी बात ये है, Agniveer should not be seen in isolation. So इस पे please I will request your viewers to kindly consider what I am saying. It is merely a cog, a critical cog, but merely a cog in the larger wheel of national security reform. अब देखिए इसको आपने मानना पड़ेगा. What now? I'm clocking 45 years in the defense services and, either in service or out of it. CDS DMA is absolutely game changing. CDS, as I have argued before, you analyze it, it is more powerful than Barry Goldwater Nichols, which is the gold standard in integration jointmanship globally.
जी,
उससे भी बेहतर है. डीएमए में हम बात करते थे यार, मिनिस्ट्री में अगर 5-6 ऑफिसर्स आ जाएं और उधर से आर्ग्यूमेंट होते थे, नो नो नो, नोबडी मोर देन लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल, नोबडी मोर देन कर्नल. You have got a department for yourself with secretary level powers, which means what? The government is saying that we are giving you, restoring your voice in civil military relations, and now you drive change through the national security system. Do we even realize what the mandate of the CDS is? Change through the national security system. जहां वो 4-5 मेजर को लाने को तैयार नहीं थे, एक समय ये था. So we used to exist in civil military silos. Status quo turf benefited on both sides. Civil military fusion में talent, meritocracy will triumph on both sides. देखिए, exit model has to work. If the exit model has to work, soldiers have to go into the civil stream. दोनों को adjustment करना पड़ेगा.
जी,
But what is good for the nation? How have other democracies moved? From silos to jointmanship to integration to cross-pollination and to fusion. अभी तो लंबी दौड़ है. We have just taken the first baby steps. So these are the largest things. Please ask me, please tell me, in my lifetime, I never thought that DRDO would be reformed. You know, जब लोग कह रहे हैं, there are some arguments कि सिविल में क्यों reforms नहीं हो रहे, भाई वहां भी तो हो रहे हैं, DRDO में नहीं हो रहे क्या? It was such a powerful organization. They would brook no suggestion. Now they are being reformed. OFB. अच्छा, इसकी बहुत जरूरत है. OFB, we have got such a large ammunition behemoth, but see today, I'll give you the operational reason. They are masters of dumb munitions. Ukraine, West Asia की पूरी कहानी है. Dumb munitions are useless. You need precision. Marriage of microelectronics and micro explosives. OFP में ये लाना पड़ेगा. For that you need talent. You need very good scientists. You need startups. तो सब अपनी दुनिया में खुश थे और हमने ऐसा माहौल बना दिया था कि PSUs, which are defense PSUs, which should be in the private sector mold, वो भी सरकारी मोड में थे. आओ पेंशन. So it had become a very suboptimal organization. अच्छा, आप ये करते रहिए, दुनिया तो बदल रही है. अगर आप ये करेंगे, can you compete with China? Can you compete with USA? Elon Musk is driving the national security domain in USA today. Innovation. So it is not just this, you have to see it from the matrix of technology, change, innovation. Other things, which are subtle. Defense is coming out of the shadows of foreign policy. इस पे जरा ध्यान दीजिए. पहले all our stuff flowed from the MEA. Now सरकार is saying, भाई आपका भी character है. Defense and foreign policy must be co-equals. The wisdom of Swami Vivekananda, who says that the world is but a gymnasium where nations come to make themselves strong. So you need a strong instrument of force. The instrument of force is moving center to the strategic calculus. These are very fine arguments. Chanakya, I've said in your platform when he said कि अगर शास्त्र को भूलोगे तो संस्कृति खो दोगे, शस्त्र का त्याग करोगे तो राष्ट्र हित खो दोगे. ये शस्त्र जो है, ये अभी आपके केंद्र बिंदु में आ रहा है. These are all the larger points, the new normals in our strategic outlook. So, Agniveer is also an instrument of change. And change is part of this larger national security reform. अच्छा, मैं बताता हूँ आप. अगर ये change नहीं हुआ, अभी theater command, अच्छा, let me tell you, I was DGPP, member of the CDS DMA, that committee. T-1, there would have been 50% people opposing it. 50%. So should we say it should not have happened? एक बार हो गया CDSDA में, many of them are happy with it. The next thing will come in theater commands. तो हर जगह जहां opposition होगा, now will it move to political circles for settlement? This has to be in professional domains. Will there be complete agreement? Never. It is impossible. But you have to see, and yet you have to be receptive to all good suggestions. Now, this is the, Vivek, this is the, what shall I say, the wisdom of the government. I'll give you a very good sentence in Hindi, which should guide all these contentious issues. Asehmati ka sahas, par sehmati ka vivek. So, of course, the courage to disagree, but also the wisdom to agree. When you see sanity in proposals, the wisdom to agree. दोनों की जरूरत है. I can stand up and say for 10 things नहीं होना चाहिए. मैं बड़ा principled आदमी हूँ. What about the wisdom to agree? And very often status quoism masquerades as high principle. अगर मैं बदली नहीं करना चाहूँ, तो मैं उसको सिद्धांतों के दायरे में खड़ा करूँ. मैं बड़ा सिद्धांतवादी. So these are the larger issues. It is principally a challenge in change. And why is this change important? On your platform, I have said many times, look at China. It is really a challenge. The enormity of the China challenge and the complexity of the character of war. Change क्या हो रहा है यार? आज Houthis के हाथ में missile arsenals. If you are prepared to innovate and change, that is what is happening. This is what we need to do. You cannot be stuck in status quo. देखिए, change के तीन दायरे. India should become a country which drives change and sets the agenda for strategic military affairs. You should be leading the change. Why should China be conceiving the rocket force? You should be conceiving the rocket force. अच्छा, अगर आप वो ना करें, एटलीस्ट रिस्पॉन्ड टू चेंज. जो और जगह हो रहा है, see what it is, respond to it. But the worst will be to be stuck in status quoism and let global change bypass you. That is the worst. So I'm saying, if we cannot be the first order, at least be the second order. And here, this whole business of when the CDS was formed, you go to the Prime Minister's address 2015. He says the army has, of course, had an outstanding record of valor, honor, operational delivery. We now need thought leaders who can drive change through the national security system. CDS खड़ा इसीलिए हुआ था. We must all help the CDS, help the chiefs to execute this change. I'm not saying that you become, echo chambers. You must tell them what is wrong. But also you have to enable them.
Yeah.
नहीं तो कैसे होगा ये सब? And these are not easy issues. Now let's come to the driver's litmus test of अग्निवीर. मैं इसको 4 मापदंड से नापूंगा. ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसीज. अरे भाई, अगर ऑपरेशनली इफेक्टिव नहीं है तो कोई मतलब ही नहीं है इसको करने का. इट हैज टू बी ऑपरेशनली इफेक्टिव. कॉस्ट ऑप्टिमाइजेशन. देखिए, बड़ा
Most
अच्छा आर्ग्यूमेंट है लोगों का. कैन व्हाई शुड नेशनल सिक्योरिटी नॉट अफोर्ड इट? ऑफ कोर्स इट शुड. नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के तो बड़े पैसे चाहिए और मिलने चाहिए. But if we can cost optimize national security, if you can reduce numbers and enable these soldiers with technology or other attributes, is that not the wiser way forward? Or have 100 soldiers with full pensions and no technology? Or have fewer soldiers with better technology? Cost optimization ki baat. In the same breath, I'm one of the biggest advocates of larger defense spending. I have made that argument on many platforms. We need
absolutely.
to do it. बट वो स्पेंडिंग तब होगी जब आप बाकी जगह रिफॉर्म करोगे. एक जगह तो आप कहते हो कि आई डोंट केयर वेयर द मनी कम्स फ्रॉम, और दूसरी जगह कहते हो कि नहीं, पैसे आने चाहिए. अरे, यू हैव टू केयर वेयर द मनी कम्स फ्रॉम. You are part of the whole system now, the armed forces. You have to make those issues. In the long term, see the benefits of civil military fusion as against these silos that we are in now. Most societies which are doing well, which are prosperous, which are militarily efficient, USA, China, they talk of fusion, not silos. And Agniveer se shuru hua, it'll go right up the chain. It'll go right up the chain. Revolving door. So you will have domain experts coming into government, going out. Soldiers going into government, वो सब होगा, सबको फायदा होगा. And of course, it has to be in the national interest. Anything that is in the national interest must happen. If it is not in the national interest, it must not happen. तो अभी देखिए, स्कीम के 3 पहलू हैं. There is the entry model, entry part which deals with entry, recruitment, in-service training, or exit. तीनों पे बात करते हैं. And I'll now, focus it to the army, the domain I'm more familiar with. Air Force, Navy, everybody has their own uniqueness and specialities. So at least in the entry stage, when we examined the scheme, we found that there were a whole lot of old practices which had not been, shall we say, updated. So आप साहब ट्रेन ड्राइवर ले रहे थे और उसको 3 साल ड्राइवर के लिए ट्रेन कर रहे थे, और पहला साल उसको क्या करते थे, रेजिमेंटल ईथॉस. अब ठीक है रेजिमेंटल ईथॉस, बट कैन यू अफोर्ड दीज लग्जरीज नाउ? ट्रेन ड्राइवर को 3 साल ट्रेन करना. If you're getting a trained driver, अरे उसको मिलिट्री ट्रेनिंग 7 महीने में हो जाएगी. Today, infantry battalions need coders. Whole AI is being driven by data, coders, algorithms. In those old schemes, there were no provisions to do all this. Today, space and cyber need civilian professionals, not soldiers. कैसे आएंगे वो? So it is just not Agniveer we have taken it in this. It is this whole comprehensive reform. ये सब कुछ हो रहा है. अच्छा, अभी इन सर्विस ट्रेनिंग की बात हुई है. ये तो दिस इज अ डोमेन आई एम रियली फेमिलियर. माय चीफ ऑफ स्टाफ लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल संधू, under his aegis this study was done, and I still recall as the army commander, जो मेरे सामने पहला presentation हुआ, he said, sir, there is large scope for reform. And so what we did, we took various trades, and we said, we found out, for example, that the best militaries in the world don't train for more than 24-25 weeks, and here we were training for 2 years. So we said कि आप ट्रेनिंग पीरियड कम करिए और उसमें से जो पैसा बचता है उसको टेक्नोलॉजी में लगाइए. AR, VR, there's so many technologies today which come. So it is not कि हमने, we are just sweeping all the good things out and getting all the bad things in. It is a matter of nuance. बड़ा इसमें डिटेलिंग हुआ है. दूसरी बात थी, अच्छा, now look at the other point. A chief minister does not get to select his DMs. The UPSC selects them from him, selects them for him. Here in a battalion, in a regiment, if 100 people are coming, the CO is getting to select the best 50.
That's interesting.
So it is absolutely meritocratic, talent based. And why will there be no opposition from within? Because it's a fair system. So aate hain, they are selected on. Now, are you telling me meritocracy is bad? Are you telling me fair process of selection is bad? So what is our quarrel with this meritocratic system? The CEO is selecting it, of course, he'll be overseen by others in the chain. तो ये है इन सर्विस ट्रेनिंग का. अभी आई एग्जिट. नाउ एग्जिट इज क्रिटिकल. देखिए मैं आपको बताता हूँ. ऑफिसर्स के साथ एक शॉर्ट सर्विस स्कीम थी. शॉर्ट सर्विस ऑफिसर्स. General Sundarji used to say, he was speaking the truth, unpopular. He says a good army needs a small core cadre and a large support cadre. So the support cadre must spend the minimum time 5 years and then leave so that, age, cadre management can be done. In the initial years, when these first people used to leave, there was certain enablement in civil services and all. So you had them going into those services. The lateral induction was facilitated. Consequently, some of the very bright military officers with a short service career went on to become outstanding bureaucrats, are top civil servants. तो आर्मी को भी फायदा था, सिविल सर्विसेज को भी फायदा. अब दोनों जगह, अब वो आपने फॉर वेरियस रीजंस यू स्टॉप दैट. What the short service commission was not bad. Why it became unpopular was because exit बंद हो गया. Tough. So the scheme was not bad, though that applied to officers. और फिर क्या किया आपने? आपने उसको 5 से 10 कर दिया, 10 से 14 कर दिया. Holding people for long is not the key. You must get them in for the support cadre, must get them in for short periods and release them empowered. Empowered. Exit is key. Empowering देखिए कैसे हुई. एक समय था when an infantry soldier was equated with an unskilled laborer. Can there be anything more demeaning?
Really?
मेरे को याद है third, fourth pay commission के time पे. Today, I do not know the exact things, but I can, pass it on to you. I'm forgetting the name, but I met this gentleman in a certain seminar in MOD. There has been a comprehensive upgradation of this equivalence. Today, an infantry soldier is very well rated. His combat skills have been recognized and been given an equivalent, equivalent recognition in the civilian domain. Then you train, you skill him. Now, when you skill him and you so train him, and if the exit model succeeds, it is going to be win-win for everyone. Recruitment में सुधार हुई है, and servicement is meritocratic. Exit भी हो रहा है. अभी देखिए, the converse is also true. If the exit model fails, the scheme will fail. So ये सब पे दारोमदार है to make the exit model succeed. Now, why will the exit model succeed? You are getting people you are training for 4 years. Equivalence आपने establish कर दी है अभी with this committee which has established the equivalence, recognition of combat skills in the civilian domain. And it is, you must get in touch with this gentleman and get him on your show someday. This is a game-changing stuff. Unskilled laborer से आप उसको कहाँ लेके आए? उसको आप क्या इज्जत दे रहे थे? अभी आप उसको क्या इज्जत दे रहे हैं? And now, once these guys, are say 5 years from now, 2,000 people are exiting. I'm just giving you an hypothetical figure. Can the CDS, the chiefs, MOD, UPSC, Staff Selection Commission, all these not get together and make sure that these chaps are crafted into these new pathways? 5 साल में नहीं हो सकता ये?
Very easy, sir.
जितने लोगों ने बाकी एश्योरेंसेस दिए हैं फ्रॉम मिस्टर कल्याणी टू Adani to Mr. Ambani to Kiran Shaw that no, we want Agniveers after 4 years, we will take them into our companies. वो क्या नहीं होगा? अगर आपके मैसूर में 50 trained Agniveers reach, and understand they have been trained for 4 years. Will some of your local companies not pick 5-10 of them
Easy,
according to their skills?
easy.
And once this lateral induction, these transitions succeed, it will be win-win-win. And we will now reach this business of cross-pollination, civil-military fusion. And if it succeeds here, the next demand will be MOD should be cross-pollinated. MOD should have a JSAI from the civilian domain, just as Craig Martel is driving AI in Pentagon. Service officers should be in MEA. They are already there, perhaps at the apex level. Some of them should be in PMO. That's the way it is. So it is civil military fusion. It is one of those. अच्छा भाई हम बात करते हैं, operational effectiveness. Tell me, can we not trust our CDS and our chiefs to ensure that they will not compromise on any operational efficiency? If the operational efficiency is being compromised, will they not put their foot down? Will they not argue, persuade, advocate? क्या वो इतने incapable हैं? This tweaking, and whether it is 4 to 6, cannot be done by Raj Shukla out of uniform. There is a chief today who knows it, knows what is to be done. Just as we were trusted in our times, we should trust them in their times. No chief CDS will compromise operational efficiency. Does that mean there will be 100% agreement? Never. It is never possible. So, these are the things about entry and exit, as I said, is critical. Now, let's go into operational effectiveness. देखिए एक समय था, we had seen the area at the time when I was there. So a chap say left after 15 years and he got pension for life. As I am arguing today, it also suffers from that deficiency of that short service commission model of officers that I spoke of. Get people in, they are there for 4 years, they compete. So for army ke liye to win-win hi hai. And the guy who's leaving, you have empowered him, you have converted these exit into virtual assurances in the manner that I spoke of, and it is of equal benefit to civil and military domains.
Yep.
पहले उसमें क्या था, when people stayed for too long, they were aged, they became LMCs, they grew these paunches, they were certainly not in the best of physical fitness. There is scope for improvement, and you also have the right mix of experience and youth. अच्छा देखिए एक और आर्ग्यूमेंट घूम रहा है कि we have created these two classes of soldiers. So see, I was in 2 feet 61 medium. I am from NDA, 3 years training. There were officers who came from the short service, 9 months training. There are officers who came after 1 year. Direct entries, 1 year training. I'll tell you today, many short service officers in some domains were better than me. That's human nature, human attributes. Many direct entry in my course, Ravi Menon, a direct entry, did better than all of us till he decided to leave for some reason. And the larger regimental ethos is subsumed these different attributes. So they tapped into Raj Shukla's attributes, they tapped into VP Singh's attributes, and they leveraged Ravi Menon attributes. So were there 3 different classes of soldiers? They were the best of friends. These systems adjust to these things. That is one. Cost optimization. This argument I have made in my regiment of 500 people, do I want 500 with lifelong pensions, or do I want 2 kinds of people, but the regiment getting better technologies, enabling technology? लोग कहते हैं आप elitist, space की बात करते हो, elitist है. अरे मेरे भाई, space impacts the squad and company battles.
It's not elitist anymore.
If we had persistent surveillance, Galwan would not have happened.
Yep.
सब कुछ चाहिए यार. Technology. People say man behind the machine. Of course, but the wiser argument is man and machine, not man alone. क्या हो रहा है यूक्रेन?
Best of machines not able to work.
Ukrainians have not shown any lack of valor. But if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't give them ammunition, you give them technology, तो बेचारे क्या कर लेंगे?
They don't have
So
training. They've got the best of equipment, but they're not able to do it.
I'll give you the best example. US
Sure.
military. No
Hmm.
dearth of money.
Hmm.
After Vietnam, they've got lifetime, all these pensions and benefits and all that. So today you have an instrument that is spending $950 billion, 800 bases, 11 aircraft carriers, and losing every war. Afghanistan, Ukraine, West Asia,
Yeah, yeah.
Taiwan. So you have to get efficient. Just budgets also will not help. So I'm making an argument for optimization everywhere, in HR, in technologies, in budgets. Organizations have to be crafted with care, with wisdom. You have to be prepared to change. People saying, armed forces don't need. You argue for change everywhere. You applaud change everywhere, except the armed forces. The national security today needs the best talent. It needs most agility and fleet-footedness. And you are up for very challenging times. If you don't change, see what the Houthis are doing to the Americans.
I know.
At one time in Taiwan, Clinton sent 2 aircraft carriers. The Chinese backed off. Today, aircraft carriers are being sent to West Asia to intercept missiles being fired by Houthis. This is how a military decays if it doesn't change. So this is my whole argument, of cost optimization, operational effectiveness, civil military fusion की बात की मैंने. People dismiss it as English. Let me just tell you. Today's system which grows in silos, उससे क्या हो रहा है कि मैं यहाँ हूँ, pension for life, I go to my village, and then I, at one time leave the world. I spend my entire career in the military. इसको हमने इस तरह से इसका silofication हो गया है that the civilians don't realize the worth of the military. Once military men start going into civil domains, they will discover, as I know, that they are far more than mere infantry soldiers. They have multiple attributes.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't allow them to discover that. And it is just not discipline. हम कहते हैं 5 अरे भाई discipline के साथ बड़ी और चीजें आती हैं. Discipline के साथ there is intelligence. There are other attributes which these people have. It is not merely discipline.
Network, sir.
Network. Many infantry soldiers are more skilled than their understanding of space, cyber, and all than technical arms.
Yeah.
मैंने उसको देखा है. So in cross pollination, you will discover the value and worth of soldiers. And there's that lovely saying, that a nation which draws a sharp distinction between its soldiers and its scholars will have its fighting done by cowards and thinking done by fools. So you should not have these silos. They can be nothing more unproductive than silos. And ultimately, as I said, it will go into MOD. A futuristic MOD will have domain specialists. It will have domain specialists, say, like C. Raja Mohan. You need somebody like Nandan Nilinkani to drive AI through the military. So it is a philosophy. So I have dealt with the nitty-gritty and the larger philosophical drivers. आप देखिए private sector. अच्छा argument यहाँ है, it will not end. The PSUs will not let private sector and startups come on the same argument. And who is driving national security everywhere? Elon Musk today is not only CEO of SpaceX, he's national security advisor.
Yeah, yeah.
The success of Starlinks has driven the US Pentagon to do a deal with Musk called Star Shields. He has brought the change, not Boeing, Lockheed, not NASA. So I have argued on your platform earlier, it is Saraswati, Lakshmi, Durga ka Mishran. I'll tell you, look at our universities. Everybody wants silos. Defense departments and universities mein. All civilian professors, not a single military officer. Sab apne silo mein kuch. Can you do defense without any military officers? But no. So it is this silofication is a disease. Isko hame khatam karna hai. And you will do it only if you have the moral authority to say so. You have to say
And
that my organization is not silent. अभी आपके पास moral authority नहीं है, सभी अपने turfs में खुश हैं. So you are happy in your own turfs, but you are unproductive when it comes to your strategic military posture and the viability of your instrument of force. So Saraswati, Lakshmi or Durga ka mishran. We need our great centers of learning, universities, which will produce talent. They will produce wealth. So Saraswati will nourish Lakshmi. Wealth means they will encourage talent, technologies, and the private sector will produce that wealth. And once you have this wealth, you will use some of this wealth to better nurse your instruments of power.
Hmm.
This is exactly what the Americans do. Take talent from all over the world. अच्छा अमेरिका में जितनी टेक्नोलॉजीज टैलेंट्स हैं दे आर नॉट इवन ड्रिवन बाय अमेरिकन दे टेक इंटरनेशनल पीपल और वहां बोले नहीं सिर्फ बिली जॉन विल गो इनटू द यूनिवर्सिटी तो बिली जॉन्स विल गो बट यू विल गेट ऑल सब ऑप्टिमल टेक्नोलॉजीज तो वो तो इतने दानिशमंद हैं कि वो दुनिया भर से टेक्नोलॉजी माइंड्स लेते हैं create Satya Nadella is creating wealth for USA, not for us.
Yes.
और वो wealth create करके they use that wealth to nurse this $950 billion 800 base 11 aircraft carrier military. They roam the world and make sure that they stay ahead in the economic and technological game. See how it is. They trade military power with the the petrodollar experiment. You give us oil, we'll give you military protection. Military fusion.
Yeah.
Drivers. Agniveer is just a cog in that, that whole thing. So these are the sum and substance of my arguments. Why I really, then I'm not saying they may not have some flaws. If it has flaws, kindly correct them. For
That's what the
example,
army had said.
fallen heroes, whether he's an Agniveer or he's an a full-time soldier, they must get the same emoluments. I'm saying that. So it needs to be tweaked, and it will happen like the short service officers started. पहले उनको ये खामियां थी, then some CSD benefits were extended. All that must happen. But the larger argument is really not this. It starts from civil-military fusion. Why it is so important? Break the silos. Do it to Agniveer. In the process, if you cost optimize, if you save money, what is the harm? And if you take that money and put it to better use for those very same soldiers, what is the harm? And now if you say, I have reformed, Mr. Prime Minister, kindly give me more money, I need to raise a space force, I need to raise cyber.
Yeah.
The national security debate must shift here now. We must ask, where is our space force? Where is our cyber force? How robust is our AD? ये बातें उठाइए ना.
R&D का है. R&D most important.
R&D. The national security debate has to deepen. It has to mature. It can't be stuck in these antediluvian norms. So this is my, this is.
I have only one simple question. A lot of people talk about the social impact of Agniveer. And I look at it from another way. In a country where we are so indisciplined that we can't drive on the road properly, right? Everybody's in a hurry. Everybody's honking away. We are so indisciplined that we throw our rubbish outside on the road. What hurts that there are, I don't know, 100,000 soldiers, trained soldiers who come out, who actually better the society and tell people, yeah, ye mat karo. And these are youngsters who will be inspirational models for the future. I'm not talking about any other impact apart from the factor that you have trained, disciplined people in your society going forward. I'd rather have more and more of people that are getting trained and disciplined. More than anything else. And 22 साल की उम्र क्या है सर? आपके पास 1 करोड़ रुपया आ रहा है जब आप बाहर निकलते हो. आपके पास पैसे हैं, उम्र पूरी खुली है. You do what you want to. Life is open to you after that. So the social impact, the negative things that are spoken about कि उसकी शादी नहीं होगी, उसको ना वो अभी वो खाप बोल रहा है कि हम जाने नहीं देंगे क्योंकि उनका फ्यूचर सेट नहीं है. What is this mentality that we've got कि भाई गवर्नमेंट सब कुछ करे, हम तो बस ऐसे करके बैठे रहें. ये माई बाप मेंटालिटी हटाने के लिए अग्निवीर आई थिंक इज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट possible things, a societal reform. You're talking about a national security reform, which I absolutely agree, sir. I am talking about a civil societal reform.
That's a very good question. So let me answer it like this, or try to answer it like this. There was a time when, we were a very, very socialist in our political economic outlook. then the nation realized that we were in error.
चलेगा
And that
नहीं.
is why the liberalization 1990 reforms came. And today there is complete, if not broad unanimity, that liberalization was a good step. There is consensus on that. I similarly say CDS-DMA was the liberalization moment in our national security trajectory. Which means what? That you have empowered the armed forces. They were previously kept out of the loop. Having empowered them, you are telling them that now deliver. You
Yep.
drive the change. पहले बाकी लोग changed. आप कहते थे वो नहीं करने देते. Now you draw it. Now see, it's a very fair onus. You have been given the powers. Now drive change. And this is what the CDS is doing now, driving change through all this. Now, when he's driving change, please don't put roadblocks in his face. The second point is socialism. See, I say, let's take it, say, my village. It's a village called Bhadravas in Fatehpur, the Kanpur district. If there are, say, 20 people, youth, they get in through this Agniveer scheme. 5 years later, 10 get a career in the army and 10 go out. One is absorbed in a PSU, one goes to a private sector, one comes to your channel if you've grown into a $1 billion channel or whatever, here and there. Bhai, how does life play out? Today, I have a friend who's a Supreme Court judge. I have somebody who's something else. So can I claim that I'm the only chap who prospered in life?
No.
So ये जो 10 हैं, जो आर्मी में है, इन 10 में 5 will not succeed. जो बाहर वाले 10 हैं, उसमें से 4 may do better than the army people. तो ये तो भाई सबका भला हो रहा है, गांव का भी भला हो रहा है. ये कहना कि जब तक आपको 10 जाओगे पेंशन नहीं मिलेगा, you will not be. There are two models. So socialism, the भावना जो है वो होनी चाहिए सबके भले के लिए. But you tell your own son, you don't tell your son that go out, I will give you money for life and you be happy. You tell him, smarten up, compete, find your way, win. तो भाई ये है. It cannot be socialism in the public street and in your own home you weave a different story. In our own home, we tell our children to be competitive. We tell
First
them that
time.
you must win, work hard. I don't tell them that I'll give you a dole for life. I mean, my dad one fine day said, go find a job. Thank God he did it. Or I may have turned out to be a, incompetent idiot. So, and I'm yet not saying we should not be sensitive. We should be sensitive. But it is socialism का broad argument है that ended in 1990. अच्छा भाई सबका मानना है कि भाई less government, more governance, reduce the government footprint. जितने intellectuals हैं उनसे मैं यही सुनता हूँ from the left and the right. So you have to reduce the government footprint in this manner. So actually I return to this argument. It is an argument, if the argument was of civil-military fusion, today all technologies lie at the cusp of civil-military fusion. You need a large language model for targeting. You need a large language model for for green energy. You need it for environment. You need drones to cross-pollinate crops. You need drones to kill people. So it is a whole philosophy, structures. One has to be of productivity. The Agniveer model must be put to the test of operational strategic productivity. If it is operationally and strategically productive, then it will do well.
So
and
what
one
about
last thing. Most of the times it is the military, when it cannot get a thing going, it seeks help from other quarters. यहाँ तो CDS chiefs कह रहे हैं यार सब बढ़िया हो रहा है. So many times they have said it. और हम कह रहे नहीं हम आपकी मदद करेंगे हैं. So I just
सर मैं एक लास्ट सवाल आपसे है मेरा about internal competitiveness. To me, I joined my profession when I was 16 years and 6 months. Right? I joined my profession straight after class 12. didn't do any graduation, nothing. It was like an NDA for my stream, and hum lage rahe. By the time we were 20, we were already assistant managers and we were working, right? But the competitiveness, and as you said, there were guys who did their graduation and joined this particular stream and this and that and sab kuch. They we were competitive because we were young and we wanted to show that bhai, we are as good as you guys. So हम तो double काम करते थे. Because the question that used to be put on us कि तुम यार छुकरे ठुकरे टाइप आए हो, 19 साल में असिस्टेंट मैनेजर बन गए, 20 साल में असिस्टेंट मैनेजर बन गए, whereas the other guys would become assistant managers when they were 22, 23, sometimes even 24. तुम क्या करोगे? We would work doubly hard to kind of prove them wrong and say, listen, no, we are as capable, and not just as capable, we are bloody stronger than you guys. And as a matter of fact, those of us who went through this particular rigmarole are doing very well in their lives today. Uh, the people are senior vice presidents, general managers, doing their own podcasts. People are doing stuff on their own, and they're doing whatever it is. I would give an argument that same thing would happen in the army as well. If you have, let's say, 50-60% quota that will get restrained, you will have these guys giving their best to get through.
Absolutely. See, competitiveness lies at the heart of the regimental ethos. In a good regiment, you have a Jat squadron competing against a Sikh squadron.
Yeah.
And you are told that you must win hockey, you must win football.
Yeah.
And you win hockey and football, you also make sure that you will win the tank battle. So competitiveness lies at the heart of, and we are one organization which always prioritize talent. Look at the army. General Rawat was the chief of a vice chief, was the son of a vice chief. General Sohag, his predecessor, was the son of a JCO. Can there be a better equal opportunity model? In the same organization, two chiefs, and see where they come from. So आर्मी में तो कभी ये बातें ही थी नहीं और ना अभी कभी होंगी. I'm very sure. Competitiveness lies at the heart of all this. And therefore, I may return to this argument. So, of course, competitiveness, we will take the best 50. But we will also ensure that the 50 that who are leaving transition smoothly into the civil sphere. Initially, it will need a government nudge. Later on, it will not. The civil sector itself will discover the great talent of these people coming across.
Yep.
वो हमने होने नहीं दिया है. आप उसको होने तो दीजिए. इनको किसी से भीख मांगनी नहीं पड़ेगी. A good chap will be picked up. This is civil military fusion. That's why I say it's a long-term scheme. Let it pick up.
The first batch is not even, I mean, बेचारे भी पहुंचे ही होंगे units में वो.
Not even that.
Yeah.
So it is, if it gets executed well, and that's a challenge. Implementation is always a challenge. If it gets executed well, it is going to be win-win-win. अभी देखिए वो जो सारी चीजें हो रही ना, you have to put it. अगर वो जो मैंने बोला this recognition of skills, I'm just forgetting that exact term for it. From an unskilled laborer to how you look at them now. That has also happened. That will help this whole process of Agniveer's exiting. Recognition of their skills. Combat skills getting recognition in the civil domain.
Yeah, they can go as cops. They can go as a whole lot of things. I mean, you can join
General
anything.
Patrius teaches international relations in a university. So many generals. आप यहाँ करके देख लो. Can any university accept Lieutenant Raj Shukla to teach something? बोलेंगे आप qualification ले आइए. So once we do this kind of fusion, is going to benefit everyone, include good professors teaching in armed forces institutions of the faculty of War College, National Defense College. Yep. So it has to be both ways. The argument is a very elevated argument, actually, if you ask.
So, of course, a last word on changes that the army is studying, and we know that for a fact. काफी स्टडी चल रही है और आर्मी ने बोला भी था कि हम कर रहे हैं यार. There's a lot which is happening. आने तो दो उनको. We'll see what it goes and we'll change them. तो how positive are you about certain changes? Because एक कहीं पे आया था कुछ extension होगा, ये होगा, वो होगा. And of course, I'm sure you have an insight as to not what changes are, but how they are studying the changes that need to be done, sir. I don't want to speculate on अभी वो 6 साल हो जाएगा, ये हो जाए वो, that's all, political these things, but how they are actually studying this change, sir. That's the last thing
So
I'd like to ask you.
Adi, I also will not like to speculate, because still
Absolutely.
these things happen. But the fact
Absolutely.
is that
Absolutely.
all these issues are being studied. Yeah, you tell me which army chief and which Raksha Mantri will not study everything that is in the interest of the nation.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are not out to demolish the army.
Sabotage the army.
Actually, the army is a natural instrument. So they
Yeah.
will happen. Will there be uh, total disagreement, total agreement ever? No. But and see, one more thing we must acknowledge as the nation matures. For very long, it has been fashionable in civil, military, bureaucratic circles to dismiss the politician as ignorant. That's no longer true. The politician also is informed in many
Maturing.
ways.
Hmm.
He is professional. He's got national interest at heart. So it is not that whatever the politician says is we have to mature in that, and yet we have must be able to persuade, to advocate, and where and draw a line. I'm sure any chief CDS will know where to draw a line. So I'm saying my basic argument is trust them. You cannot now do it sitting from outside, just as you trust everybody everywhere else. We trust the cabinet secretary, we trust the DRDO chief, so must we trust the armed forces. And it is also, this whole change is uniform, it is fair, it is across board. DRDO, OFB, defense PSUs, in the
Yeah.
TPP, cultural transitions, private sector coming in, startup coming in, Tata Airbus deal. It will smarten up HAL in the long run.
Yep.
So everybody is doing it. This change is happening across the board, and it will do us great good in the long run.
On that note, sir, thank you so much for spending time and explaining. Bada important subject hai. And politics aside, I wanted to hear from the army. I'm going to actually speak to somebody from the Air Force as well and the Navy as well to see ki kya hai, because I want the rumors to be busted. And that's something which is most important. Everybody talks about this, that, and the other. But it is an experiment in the larger, greater good of the nation. And that's the most important thing that we all must understand. Kyunki kahin na kahin, it's never the right time for change, but it's never the wrong time either. Change must always be persistent and continuous. That's the only thing I would say, sir. And that's something I learned from what you have said. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Adi. Great pleasure. Jai Hind. Thank you.